I got 2 games for you, David.
Great.
Would you like to hear about dice or factories?
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Welcome to Video Game Podtimism. It's the Optimist video game variety show where 2 best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase.
And my name is David.
Hello.
Hello.
There is currently what's called a bomb cyclone hitting the west coast of the United States, which, as it turns out, that's where I am.
So what makes it a bomb cyclone?
I read the definition, and it simply didn't make any sense to me.
It was very meteorological, huh?
Yeah, there was like a measurement.
Oh.
Yeah, here we go.
Pressure?
Generally, pressure must drop 24 millibars within 24 hours.
Oh. So the pressure drops fast. And it's just like, oh God, it's like a bomb.
Yeah. So there's a lot of rain and wind. And as a result, you and I are like kind of on the razor's edge of recording right now. We had to like bust out a new recording software just to ensure that we can get this one in.
We got
there.
2 recordings going right now.
So if at some point this episode promptly stops and I record something after the fact, that's why. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Or my internet decided to stop, which also did happen just like 15 minutes ago.
It's like we're getting hit with every like technical difficulty all at once, which is forcing us to be better about recording like rituals and stuff. Because I feel like you and I we play pretty fast and loose with it sometimes.
Sure do. Hey, it's worked out so far, except for the episode that Yoko Taro took.
Yeah, that was like 2 or 3 full ass years ago at this point. So like maybe we're due for another.
That was a magnum opus. That was the episode we'll never get back. It's the lost tapes of Podtimism.
It is really a shame because it was pretty early in the show, and I also felt like we were kind of firing on all cylinders for maybe the first time, and that didn't really get put out there. Sort of a bummer.
It was too powerful. It was too powerful for the time.
Tough. But hey, dude, why don't we... Enough about rain. Enough about wind. I'm over weather. How about video games? What do you think about that?
I think that they are good still.
Great. I would love to... They're still great. I would love to hear about the ones you've been playing.
Yeah. I have still been playing Metaphor Refantazio. That's pretty much all I've been playing for the most part. Or at least primarily what I've been playing. Yeah. It's a good-ass game. I really like this game. I was not expecting to like this game at all because I haven't really enjoyed any of those Persona games before, or at least not to this degree. Yeah. They still had that JRPG thing where I get maybe 10, 15 hours in and I just lose steam completely and I'm out. But this one, I think it's just the fantasy setting, and I love the story. The characters are great. It's very cool, and I love this really interesting battle system they have. And I think just being able to kill or not kill or fight enemies in the overworld without always having to go into a battle is fun. And then having that also be a little strategic in that, you really want to shock them. You want to beat down their guard to squad up and get a free turn. That's very advantageous. So you are trying to kind of dodge and like look out to not get hit in the overworld too. So it just adds a little bit more entertainment for me, a little bit more engagement for me. But yeah, great game. Loving it. Really, really fun. Yeah, I've also kind of dove back into this game. I feel like I got sidetracked a fair bit recently, and like this and Dragon Age Veilguard have just been sitting on my like PS5 homepage. I'm like, I should play that, and then I just kind of don't recently. Sure, there's like kind of a lot of the like traveling stuff, and then the tidal wave of turd of the election, and then I haven't gotten to it, but I recently returned and I'm like unfortunately having to learn a lot of those mechanics again. Yeah, because it's been like just long enough, but everything that I've like experience so far in Metaphor is like really, really good. A lot of fun. I don't know what else to say about that game except that it's great and that people should play it, and that, like I said last week, it was helping with my election anxiety. Sure, yeah. And my enjoyment of Metaphor Refantazio really reminded me of another RPG that I had played recently that kind of broke free of the JRPG stagnation that I would usually feel, which was Octopath Traveller 2. Oh shit, are you back in there? I'm back in it. Oh wow. It's been a while. Yeah, where are you in this game right now? I am not very far. I have 5 characters. Who do I have? I have Agni, Particio, Hikari, Throne, and Casti. I'm working through everyone's like second leg of their stories. So who knows how much longer I have in this game? Probably a lot.
Yeah.
I just beat Partitio's second part to his story.
Yeah.
I just love Partitio. He's great.
I know, he rocks, yeah.
Just also kind of helping with my election anxiety, just the true good who's like, I love making money and I love commerce, but I also love helping the world with my inventions and things that I am bankrolling. So yeah, I think in the second part of his story, the big bad capitalist is telling him, hey, you can have my steam engine for 80 billion leaves. And Partitius just goes, bring it on, brother. I got this.
It's so good.
I'm going to get 80 billy for you to buy the rights to this steam engine. And I'm here for it. He's like, he didn't even waver. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. And then the saxophone starts playing. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm in it. Let's fucking do this, Partitio.
Yeah, the soundtrack remains killer.
The soundtrack really is killer. And then I look at the area where the next part of his story is, and it's level 35, and I'm like, oh, I am not going there yet. I need some time. I need some time to do some other things before I go there.
Yeah, I feel like I had most of the characters by the time I was doing that like third portion of everybody's quest.
Yeah, I feel like to get to the second portion of people's quests, I'm going to be going to where all the characters I don't have yet are.
Yeah.
So it'll all work out eventually. But this game is great. I really enjoy it. It's still fun to find out what the weaknesses are of each of the enemies you're fighting. The story is fun. It is well voice acted. I don't think it's quite as engaging to me mechanically as a Metaphor Refantazio is.
Sure.
But it's still... It feels smaller scale, at least right now. I think you've alluded to the fact that it gets kind of buck wild at the end.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what happens with that. But it's a good, relaxing for me time. Although sometimes I just get my ass handed to me by like a big dog, like in Partitio's second act. It's just like a little tiny wimpy dog. And then all of a sudden you fight it in battle and it's just like this giant pit bull that's just yoked to the max.
Yeah. All those like enemy designs are so much fun, where they look so silly in the overworld and bananas in the
so terrifying.
System. Yeah.
Ooh, I think the evil capitalist from the first portion of Partitio's game or quest line, where he's just like 10 feet tall, standing in the back, just lording over these other like lesser humans. So good.
It's bizarre that Octopath Traveler 2, like it sort of harkens to other games pretty often. Yeah. Like it feels like it's in the style of like a Final Fantasy V in some places. And like just the style of it feels like it should be much older, but like nothing comes close to me in the genre as far as like the feeling that I get when I'm playing Octopath 2. It's like so specific that like, I don't know, it holds it. I hold it in high regard. It's just really, really good. I'm really interested in what they do next. Like if they keep going with this series, and also if the Dragon Quest 2 and 3 remake is at all similar, because like the visual styling of that one is so similar to Octopath in a way that I really love.
Is it the same team?
I mean, so maybe, because like Octopath was made in conjunction with Acquire, the company that did Brothership most recently.
Sure.
And then also in conjunction with Square Enix. And I think that Square Enix is making the Dragon Quest 3 remake as well.
Gotcha.
And so I wonder if there is just like crossover as far as like who worked on it. Because like visually they've got the kind of like 2.5 dimension look to it.
Yeah.
Which I just find it suits this kind of game so well, where like you can still make something look so cool and beautiful, but also like it remains pixel art as well, which is, I don't know, I really think it works. So yeah, I'm interested in that Dragon Quest 3 game.
It's out, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's going to be another hefty RPG on your backlog.
I know.
You were just lamenting the fact that Metaphor and Dragon Age are just sitting on your home screen looking at you like, why aren't you playing with us?
Come on, dude. Yeah. I almost bought it the other day and I'm like, I should at least get to the point in Metaphor where I know the mechanics so well that I don't have to relearn them.
Yeah.
To like jump into another game. I am sure that Dragon Quest 3 is a lot simpler mechanically than Metaphor, but still, like, it is a big, juicy RPG.
Absolutely.
And also, my Switch has been sort of commandeered by my dear wife, Emily Alice, who has taken quite a shine to Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Oh, she's shipping it up, huh?
Yeah, she loves the boat. And
who doesn't love a good boat?
That's true. And so that's getting a lot of play. But as a result, my Switch is in use pretty often.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of a hard time to be an RPG fan because you're just gorging on so many good ones. It's like you can't keep up.
Pretty wild. Yeah, no, it's been nuts this year. Like I feel like years past, there's always been like quite a spread of different genres and stuff like that. But like Persona 3 Reload came out this year. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth came out this year. Mm-hmm. All of these games that have just recently come out, like Metaphor and Dragon Quest.
Unicorn Overlord.
Unicorn Overlord, that's true.
Didn't one of the Paper Marios come out this year?
Yeah, the Thousand Year Door remake. That's true as well. Unbelievable. There's so many RPGs.
Big year for RPG fans.
Yeah, which I will say in the beginning part of the year, I always loved digging into an RPG. It was like a Dragon for me this year because just, dog days of winter where it's dark all the time. Ain't nobody making plans. We're all just hanging out indoors. It's great. It works for me.
Hell yeah. 2 other things about Metaphor.
Yeah.
1, it really needs to come out on Switch because I've been playing it on the PlayStation Portal a lot and it is so good handheld.
Interesting. Okay.
It's really great. Really great. It just pops still. It's a lot of fun.
Sure.
And also Stroll, I think, was engineered in a lab to be my best friend. He's great.
Sure. How come? Just like his characteristics?
He's just a cool guy. He just likes to hang. He likes to talk about honor and nobility and like just fighting for your honor and your nobility. I'm into it.
Yeah. He, as we've mentioned before, he sort of occupies the best friend zone of the Persona games. All of them have one.
Yeah.
And man, is he good in this one. Because most of the time, like I think I've said this before on the podcast, that like usually Persona leans into that character being like really headstrong and like borders on annoying for certain ones.
Yeah.
But like, I love Ryuji, so like that, no shade on him. But like, that character archetype can get pretty annoying. But like Stroll just like is so good. He's like very like, I wouldn't say optimistic, but he like keeps his head kind of above water most time, despite like
he's persistent.
Having some resilient. There's a lot of which is just so good for a guy who like he hits you with this tragic backstory so fast. And you're like, God damn, dude.
It's like, man, we just met. Why are you dropping all this on me?
Yeah. But he rocks.
But, the humbled noble is great.
Yes.
The reformed shithead kind of gives you Jaime Lannister vibes in a way.
Yeah, it is interesting that like they start his character in I think a place where otherwise it would end in a lot of other fantasy stories of like a noble who learns that like being noble means more than just like being rich and pretty.
Yeah, being born to a certain family.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so it's cool to see like, okay, well, where do we go from here? Like what's his sort of arc? Because I think Atlas games are all pretty good about having like a pretty solid arc for most of their characters.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see where like the core trio of people go in this game, which to me is the main character Stroll and Hulkenberg, who's also a great character.
Yeah. Hulkenberg also rocks.
And also the game is funny. The game has a lot of humor in it, which I was not expecting. I don't know if other Persona games, I kind of see this as just like fantasy Persona. If Persona games in general have that type of humor in them too, but I'm here for it. It's good.
Yeah, I think that there is funny stuff and humor in the Persona games, but I do think the change in the context does demand a little bit of a different like tone shift from some of it. But it is funny. No, you're right.
To get off the RPGs, I've also been playing Cursed to Golf.
This is the
golf roguelike. Yeah. I picked this up around spooky season and I just haven't had a chance to talk about it.
Yeah.
This game is pretty fun. I enjoy it. It's crazy. It is, there's a lot more strategy to it than you'd think. It's almost like if you combined golfing, worms, and a roguelike together.
The worms pull is true. Yeah. That's actually
Have you played this one?
I did when it came out.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember very much about it. I think that was like 2 years ago when this came out. And I remember enjoying it, but not like, obviously it wasn't my like game of the year that year.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like over the moon with it right now. Yeah, it's fun. It is sometimes looking at a big level and like not knowing at all where to go is a little stressful.
Yes.
And I think that's on purpose. They try to confuse you and you just have to kind of figure it out as you go, like intuit a bit. But I really love all of the different power-ups you get. The different levels are fun too. I enjoy the storyline to it. Just you're a golfer and you die on the last hole of like becoming the GOAT, as they say, the greatest of all time. And I think the conceit of it being purgatory and trying to make your way through to win back your life is somewhat Hades inspired, but also I think still works very well for a roguelike, that you are undead of some sort, immortal of some sort. And I think that the golfing mechanics themselves are pretty solid for the most part. Is it as, I think, intrinsically fun as Golf Story was for me? Probably not, but it's fun in a very different way. Like I said, it has that Worms element of you have to really think kind of chaotically to do well with this game by using the teleporters or blowing things up or just taking a gamble with, okay, I'm going to shoot this shot and then I'm going to blow my ball into 3 different balls and just hope one gets over this water hazard, right? So it's a very different sort of golfing game. I play a lot of golfing games, but sorry to all the golf haters out there. I know there's a couple of you, so you can skip through this part and I will not hold it against you. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't, like I said, I'm not like obsessed with it. It's more kind of like my change up right now. If I'm not feeling one of my RPGs, if I'm feeling just like, I'll just do like a couple holes of Curse to Golf, and that feels good. Yeah, absolutely. I also found it fun. I wonder if I should return to this. I was kind of just thinking about this game. I like saw it on my Switch like library and I was like, maybe I should like beat that, because I did like it. So I don't know. I'd be interested to see like how it keeps landing for you as you go on. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it evolves, because also the prospect of going all the way back to the beginning in this game is like, oh man, that is rough. Yes, that is quite a bit of game you have to get through. Yeah, it's a long road. And I think that part might be the thing that gets the most tedious with this game, even though they change the holes each time because it's a roguelike, right? But at least with Hades, you immediately get a different flavor for each run by choosing different weapons and getting a different boon at the beginning. Right. Whereas you don't really, at least I haven't seen you getting some sort of beginning change to your kit when you start a new run on this game. So I think that could be a potential stumbling block for the game. But I think I just have to play more and find out for myself. That's all I've been playing. What have you been playing, Chase? I got 2 games for you, David. Great. Would you like to hear about dice or factories? I mean, I'm not surprised. Yeah. That's like the question I've been asking you for about 4 years now, making this podcast. Yeah. I'm going to roll the dice and say factories first. Okay, sure. Well, there was recently a DLC that was added to a little old game called Factorio, David. DLC was, I think it's just called like Space Age or something like that. It's, all right. It's Factorio in space. Is like once you finish the kind of main thrust of like tech tree, then it advances and you can do other shit in space. So you like continue to, do factories in space is essentially the idea. 2 things. I was like, hey, that's cool. And I would also say that I got like lightly into Factorio. It is, I have not had the same relationship to it that I had with Satisfactory, which was a game that I have continually fallen down the rabbit hole over and over and over again. Did Factorio or Satisfactory come first for you? For me personally, Satisfactory was the game that I played before Factorio. Gotcha. But I think that Factorio came out pretty well before Satisfactory. That one was, I would say one of the earlier entries in the genre, and maybe one of the ones that like kicked it off. Sure. I kind of see it in the same way that like Slay the Spire kind of invigorated the deck building roguelike games. Gotcha. And so, it's like this genre's Mario, I think, is kind of how Factorio is seen. Sure. And so I was like, all right, I'll check out the DLC. Like that's a thing I'm interested in. And maybe I'll, get it this time more because like I said, I played it a little bit, but it never hooked me in the same way. And I downloaded it and started it up and promptly realized that I need to essentially play the entire game before I get to the space stuff. Oh, wow. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's what I'm doing now. So you're like, challenge accepted. Let's go. Yeah. Damn. Because like I do want to play it, and like I don't hate these factory games at all. In fact, I quite like them. For anybody who's like not familiar with the genre or with Factorio is a game where you like crash land on a planet, and the idea I think is that you're supposed to be able to like escape the planet eventually, and you do that by just like making
tech and building stuff. And you do that not by necessarily doing it on your own, but by, building like a miner that will spit out some ore that you will put on a belt that will go to another area that you can put it into a smelter and yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And I like that loop a lot. I will say that like this genre, I like really works or really doesn't for me. Mm-hmm. There are some games that I've tried in this genre that I'm just like totally, absolutely not, man. Like it just doesn't work for me in any way. Mercifully, Factorio is not one of those. It's immediately like, I can see why this is a game that people love and like have fallen in love with. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's a bit strange because having not played this one first, I think it's kind of like if I had played, I don't know, Monster Factory, not Monster Factory, Monster Train, but it's like playing that prior to playing Slay the Spire. Like you understand like, hey, this is still a very good game, but it's like, I think the sort of shock of playing something like that before all the other kinds is like, I think it just doesn't land quite as hard as it would as somebody who's like literally never played one of those before. Mm-hmm. I felt this way when I was younger about like whenever somebody would be like, hey, you should listen to this like hard rock band from the 70s or something like that. And I'm like, I like punk and metal music. Like, let's take a look. And then it is like not at all even sounding like the same genre, Yeah. And like, that's not to say like older music is inherently like less cool than newer stuff. But I think when you jump onto a genre progressing kind of late in the game, sometimes not every one of those earlier things will speak to you in the same way.
It's cool to see how things started.
Yeah.
But it's not as complex, right?
Yeah. And, some of that stuff holds the test of time. Like, I think my initial reaction the first time I heard the Beatles was like, yeah, this sounds like kind of a lot of other music. But then like listening to it enough, I'm like, yeah, actually this fucking rocks still. It's still quite good.
Yeah.
And like, I think I'm mostly having that experience with Factorio still of like, this is still quite good, but the game doesn't do nearly as much explaining to you as like I would kind of prefer.
Sure.
Or like, it also puts into perspective how much of a swerve Shapes 2 was, that game that came out earlier in the year, because it makes so much of this kind of game easy and just allows you to focus on the like automation part of it.
Sure.
And so like when I'm, when I don't have enough belts and I need to go craft more belts, I'm like, oh man, like, can I just get this? Like, I don't know that this like serves the whole thing, but regardless, I am still having a really good time and I'm definitely falling into it more than I did last time.
Okay.
I think partially that is like, I just feel more confident in this kind of game now.
Sure.
And I think, honestly, playing Shapes a lot helped because like that game forces you to look at it from like, a mile above the ground, like literally and also metaphorically of like, it's asking you like, don't look at just the one miner that you're using. Like, think about it as a whole system. And once you do, like it becomes a little bit more interesting. Which is cool. Again, like, it's really forcing you to, think with portals or think with factories in this case. So all that's great. I still haven't made it to space, but I'm very close. I also love watching YouTube videos of people who are just like so good at Factorio because it's just unbelievable the shit that they're doing in there. And it's like truly feels it starts to encroach on programming at certain points.
Yeah.
And like I said with Shapes, every now and then I'm like, okay, I'm down. Like I'm down for the challenge, right? That's what I do in my day job. So it's like not that far away from something that I'm comfortable with. But when it starts to become like a problem where I'm genuinely having to like sketch shit out and think about it in a way where I'm like actually working, I'm like, you know what? No, it's just going to run inefficiently. That's fine. I don't care. So yeah, it's I'm enjoying it still. So I'm probably going to keep playing it. I will say like something that I've noticed about these games is they just like soak up so much of my spare game time.
Yeah.
That like they eat all the other time for games that I have. So like
Metaphor and Veilguard. Yeah.
They remain unplayed. So I'm kind of hoping like to try other stuff because it's not like those games aren't good. And it's also not like I'm having fun here, but still like I do kind of appreciate having a varied media diet as far as like games go rather than just like one. Anyway, so that's Factorio. Having a good time.
I have a question, Chase, real fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
About factory games in general.
Yes.
How do you reconcile your opinions on capitalism with your enjoyment with factory games? And are there any factory games that take the environment of the world into account?
Factorio does.
Oh.
Weirdly enough. I'll get to the darker question in a second, but Factorio, you like eventually start polluting, and that draws the ire of like these bugs that will just come like attack your settlement.
No, the damn eco-terrorists are coming for you,
right?
Huh?
Yes, yeah. Avalanche is coming to attack innocent Shinra. But I turned that off because it stressed me out and I just wanted to do the factory stuff.
There you go. Just turn off the opposition. Sounds great. Oligarch Chase over here.
I mean, like, to your other point about this being the capitalist simulator, I think that like it is fun to experience like, I guess, like exponential growth as a mechanic. It's just that like I would never do this in the real world, you know, like that's why the game is fun. Is because you can just like completely destroy a local ecosystem so that you can mine better, you know?
There you go.
And so like I think it's a fantasy in the same way that like a shooting dude's fantasy is fun, where it's like, isn't this silly and cool? And also like, don't ever do this.
Yeah. This is your outlet for this, people. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
And I think that like not every one of these games does this, but there is a bit of commentary just in the fact of like exponential growth being a thing that you can do, and eventually you're like launching rockets into space, you know, like there's a little bit of humor to the idea that exponential growth can exist in, you know, in this case, production, but in our case, the economy, you know, because of course it can't. Like people are just trying to ride the wave of exponential growth whenever it shows up in the economy. And I think that, you know, you and I have both seen the sort of pain of a company saying like, hey, we're only making 3 times as much money as we did last year. Oh my God, the sky is falling, you know?
Yeah.
And like, isn't that okay? Isn't it okay to just like work and do good work and not make 10 times as much money as you did last year?
I think so.
You would think so. So I think that there is a little bit of inherent humor in the genre just in that way. And some games hit on it more than others, right? Like I think Satisfactory does a little bit in the story that it's doing, where like the character that's talking to you most of the time whenever you unlock like new tiers of technology, she's like kind of a GLaDOS stand-in. And like the stuff that she's joking about oftentimes is it's sort of poking at the idea that like, you know, perfect efficiency is possible, and like you're just this one person who's like terraforming a planet essentially, and that like, you know, you're lazy and all sort of stuff. So I feel like the game sort of recognizes it, but I don't think it ever really like culminates in any sort of like huge commentary, you know, like again, it's a very similar relationship that like Call of Duty has to World War II or something, where it's like used as a backdrop, but at no point are they really ever saying like, this is like truly horrendous. It's like gestured at, but like also fucking shoot the Nazis. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
And in the same way that like totally mined this planet bare isn't that fun. I think for something like that, you probably need to go check out like either Space Plan or Universal Paper Clips or something like that, or even like Cookie Clicker to a certain extent.
There you go. Cook the cookie.
Is like, because you're like building the apocalypse in Cookie Clicker eventually. It's like, again, sort of referencing the idea that like, look at what happens if we continue to like try and work like
this. A little tongue in cheek.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, Factorio. That's my commentary about the economy on Factorio. The other game I'm playing is a game called Diceomancer, David.
Diceomancer. Is this a dice game with a necromancy flair theme?
Kind of. There's no necromancy, but you are kind of a dice wizard is the game.
Okay.
So this is a game that came out about a month ago, made by Ultra Piggy Studio, which is one of the better developer names I have ever heard.
Ultra Piggy. That's good. Are they hog collars?
Man, that would be cool. Not enough game developers are hog collars.
They met at a hog calling competition and they stayed in touch because of their love of game design.
The hog brought us together and it will not tear us apart.
I'm going whole hog. Continue.
This is a deck building roguelike, and it has a couple of fairly significant twists on that formula that I think are really, really cool. So if you have played Slay the Spire, a lot of this game will feel pretty familiar initially. You are doing the same thing that Slay the Spire does, where you are moving from one end of like a node tree to another, trying to just like navigate this like space. And on each one of those little tiles, you'll either have some event that you come upon or fight somebody, or, you know, have to fight a boss or be able to rest and regain some health. Oh, it's very like standard Slay the Spire stuff. There is also a purple mist that is constantly following you on the map. So like, it's not exactly Slay the Spire, because you can sort of like move diagonally and like sideways a little bit on the map, whereas like Slay the Spire is like you always kind of have to be moving forward.
Yeah.
And But you do have to be aware of the mist that is at your back pretty much all the time, which is like very FTL as well, of like kind of having this thing that is forcing you to move through the map in a certain way. So all that's cool. And on its face, like, all right. The battle initially is they're initially kind of standard, right? If like you have a certain amount of like in the very beginning, you have like strike cards that'll do like 4 damage to somebody, or defense cards that will do put up 4 shields, so like you take less damage on this turn. And they have little wrinkles with like the enemies have like certain health thresholds that if you hit, it kind of like messes them up momentarily. That's all interesting. But the big twist that this game does is that oftentimes you will be able to roll dice on certain things. In the most simplest case, it's like a damage card that you do. You roll a 4-sided die instead of, just doing damage.
Sure.
Okay, interesting. And maybe you can upgrade that to roll a 6-sided die instead, so you get a little bit more damage. The wildly more interesting thing is that oftentimes you have opportunities to roll a dice and change just any number in the video game to be what the result of that dice roll is. And so if you like roll the dice, and you can kind of look on your screen and it will highlight pretty much any of the numbers on the screen, and you can set that to be whatever your dice roll is. Whoa. So like enemy health, if they have 40 health and you roll a 2, their health is now 2,
That's cool.
Which makes the kind of like the thresholding thing more interesting, because you can't just nuke their whole health bar at once, but it does make it interesting. Like if you're in a really bad spot with them, you could just roll a dice and, make it a little bit easier. Or say you have, let me see. You can change it so that every turn you like essentially regenerate 3 energy. You can roll the dice and suddenly be like, no, I have 6 now. That's a thing that I have.
Sure.
And so it also starts to feel like the same way that I play Balatro, where I'm just trying to kind of break the game as best I can.
Yeah.
And there are just so many places to change numbers that like, I'm still feel like I'm just scratching the surface of how complicated this game could be, which is a really fun feeling. In the same way that the first time I was playing Balatro, I was like, how many fucking jokers do they have? This is crazy.
A lot of jokers.
I will never know the extent of this game, but that eventually clarified, and I think so will this. And so it's kind of a thrill right now to just be like, there's so many options for how to approach this game. Like I was like not even playing the game the other day, but there's a card that like, I think it was, you do 4 damage for each card that you discard. And I was like just playing that card straight down the middle. And then like when I wasn't playing it, I was like, oh shit, I wonder if I could change the number on it to do like more damage per card discarded or something like that. And then sure enough, went back, did that. And I was like, oh my God, this is suddenly like a way better card than it was before this. And so it's kind of like you have to kind of open your mind a little bit to like the possibility space. And eventually, it's starting to remind me of like an immersive sim in the way where I'm like, my brain is kind of the thing that is limiting me here rather than like the game setting restrictions.
It's a Metroidvania too, huh?
It's a little bit of a Metroidvania. And oftentimes I'll run into I guess I should say, what reminds me of an immersive sim is that like in immersive sims, sometimes I will come upon a problem and be like, there's like 8 steps I'll need to do to like get to level 2 or something, like just to get a level above myself physically. And then, at some point I'm like, wait, what if I just like put enough blobs on the wall to create a staircase to walk up there, and like that stupid solution works, Yeah. It reminds me of that, of like, I've been thinking about games like this, like Slay the Spire for so long that it's kind of taking me a little while to be like, not just thinking, how can I do the most damage with these cards, but also how can I break the things that I currently have in a way that benefits me? Like, if I'm in the shop or something like that, where you can buy essentially relics from Slay the Spire. If something is too expensive, hey, set the price to be lower. Don't make it that expensive,
Great.
Or like if I'm in a really bad situation with, my health or something, say I have 1 health, like I can at least get a little back if I roll a higher number than that, And so all of that's really interesting. But a lot of the times, if you're using a card that sets like your dice higher number, then that will accelerate the purple mist. And so you also have to be careful that if you're using it too much, then it will catch you, And so there's this kind of interesting push and pull of the game wants you to break it, but also within reason.
Yeah.
Of like, you can't just spam these attacks all the time.
Yeah. Pick and choose.
Yeah, exactly. You have to kind of figure out like, how do I use this efficiently. It's really fun. I think this game is really, really cool. And I'm like really excited to just keep digging into the depth of it. I'll also say the art style is very interesting. It's like kind of the like wobbly Ed, Edd and Eddy animation where like things are kind of just like vibrating all the time. And then also that like Zelda CDI game, just the animation is bizarre in a way that I really find very fun. The enemies are also just hilarious. They're like such just fantasy characters. It's like a pig man or
I'm looking it up, and as you said, a pig man. I found a pig man.
The pig man.
And it is a pig man with like a spear or something.
Yes, yeah. And so I find the art like really, really charming. I think it's very fun. So yeah, that's a Diceomancer. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, it looks
I think
cool.
It's really cool.
A duck?
Yeah.
A goose?
The duck. Yeah, the geese are pretty hard to fight, TBH.
Dude, I can fight geese in this game? You didn't tell me about that, Chase.
Yeah, you're in.
This is my family's game. Generations of Benavideses will flock to this game to live out their power fantasy against the geese clan.
To continue the crusade against geese.
Against the geese. Horrendous creatures, truly.
Yeah, they're not nice. They're not very kind. Anyway, David, this will all bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week.
Which is?
It is the Indie Game Awards, David.
What? Wait, I haven't heard of these.
It is, cool. I am assuming, mostly counter programming against the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Because the Game Awards came out recently. If you're not familiar with that, it's essentially Jeff Keighley's like Oscars, I guess.
Yeah. It's not video games as Oscars. It's Jeff Keighley's Oscars.
Yeah. And every year the nominees come out and it's like, there seem to be quite a few games missing from here that I would expect to see on that list. And I think like by and large, the Game Awards just represent like a quote unquote bigger business angle on video games than I kind of prefer to observe most of the time. Like, I don't think it's out of touch with reality necessarily, but like, I think it is highlighting games that like, don't necessarily need more highlighting. And then also pretty regularly just sort of like ignores smaller games, right? Like I find it shocking that 1,000 Times Resist is not on anything in the Game Awards.
Yeah.
And so the Indie Game Awards has done pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It has done the Game Awards, but for indie games. And I think by and large, like most of the games that I would want to see represented at an award show are in the Indie Game Awards. Because I think that like I don't know if I would necessarily call us critics, but as people who like talk about games, I feel like a pretty intense, I don't know if responsibility is the right word, but like drive to play stuff that doesn't have a lot of eyes on it.
Sure.
Because I think that that's the fun part of the space is like, I don't know that like these huge, gigantic games need more press about them. Like people kind of know about it already.
Yeah.
And if you like it, then great, that's good. But, like I'm excited when we find out or when you find out like, hey, Haunty is really good and more people should play Haunty, good. So yeah, I just find that part of the kind of marketing of games the more exciting end of it. So yeah, I'm very excited for the Indie Game Awards because I think that they've got some great nominations in there.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. It's some solid games.
Yeah.
It's going to be streamed on IGN, it looks like, and YouTube.
Yes, small time games coverage, IGN.
Hey, I mean, they gotta throw it out there. Yeah, who is sponsoring this? Is this just like a big like collective effort? Do you know?
Team behind the IGAs is led by 6-1 Indie, a collective with extensive experience in event production and deep understanding of the indie gaming scene. The IGAs are possible with the additional support of a diverse group of partners, including Women-Led Games, Latin American Game Showcase, Wholesome Games, Dames for Games, the Indie Informer, MinMax, and Vicarious PA. So yeah, it just seems like a collective of folks, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is somebody's like main job, but I am really glad that this is a thing. I'm happy about this.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Yeah.
A good, I would say actually a necessary celebration of these games.
Yeah. Like discoverability is a challenging thing in games these days. And like, being the market as it is, where like Call of Duty is still the biggest selling game every single year.
Sure is.
It's, I think, important to get eyes on other stuff because like, I just refuse to accept the idea that like people don't have interest in smaller games, like Balatro is technically an indie game. And I know that like, there's plenty of people out there who really fell down the rabbit hole on that one. So yeah, I think this is cool. David, do you have anything fueling your sense of podism?
Yeah, it's opening a pack of cards digitally and getting something good in it.
Ooh, tell me what inspired this.
I'm playing the Pokemon pocket game.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow, well, I pulled a Venusaur EX today, and I physically pumped my fist in the air, I should say. I pumped my fist in the air while at work when I pulled this card on my lunch break. I'm just like, I ain't afraid to pump the air while getting a Venusaur. This is good. This is good shit.
Take pride in your pump.
I've been getting a lot of these EX cards too. I feel like they keep the holographics and the good ones coming at a pretty steady clip.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just being at the beginning of the game. But I will say, if you're getting a ton of them, that is good. I feel like I still kind of have to like wait for a while to get the real goodies.
I've been only going for like a couple days, and I have like 7 or 8 EX cards.
Dang, that is kind of a lot. I will be real.
Like, is this too many? Am I getting false expectations for what it's going to be in the future?
I don't think I have that many. Maybe around there actually, but still, like, I think that you are.
I'm beating the odds.
You do have golden hands right now, David.
I just let the pack speak to me. But it's fun. They make opening a pack fun, and it's just always a good time when you pull a sweet looking card.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not immune to that.
Yeah.
in really any game, but especially Pokemon cards. Again, when I'm like, hey, I had that one, or I like that Pokemon, it works.
Also, do you think that they purposely made the rest of the UI so boring and sterile so that the cards would pop that much more? Do you think that was a design choice?
It's possible. I do think that Pokemon kind of, it strives for a sort of like Windows Vista era UI sometimes.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but like it is pretty bare bones for most of it.
I just feel like I'm in a sterile, like clean lab when I'm playing this game.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder if it's to make the people feel better about their cards, like not getting like dirt on these digital cards. Or
there you go.
Like that.
These are going to be pristine cards for when you have to get to sell them digitally in the future.
Yeah, you don't want to bend those corners or anything.
Yeah, top quality.
Well, hey, do you want to move on to our main thing, David?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. Hey, welcome to Good Games. It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them. We got a suggestion from listener Benny Blue to play this game called Goblin Sword.
Goblin Sword.
I didn't know what this game was.
I've never heard of this game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one that eluded me, and I was kind of surprised about that. I thought when I played this, I was like, hey, this must have just come out on Switch. This was actually a mobile game 10 years ago.
This was a mobile game?
Yeah, it came out in 2014 originally.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
The control scheme feels very mobile game. Like, after having played it, I'm like, oh, this all makes total sense. Benny Blue on the topic of Goblin Sword had to say about this game. I became a gamer in 2019 after my very sweet friends bought me a Switch for my 31st birthday. I had fallen in love with Stardew Valley, and I knew there was so much more for me in the wonderful world of gaming. I tripped and fell into Goblin Sword because the Nintendo eShop is a nightmare and I didn't know any better. But it was my first introduction to what became my favorite genre. I poured 80 plus hours and loved every punishing minute of it. When Hades hit the scene, I was ready. Hey, Benny, thank you, Benny, for your suggestion. But this was a total surprise to me. I had no idea about this game, and yeah, why don't we just get into it?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get in there.
All right.
Hot stats.
So, Goblin Sword, as I sort of gestured at before, it came out on iOS in September of 2014. Absolutely bananas. And then on Switch in 2020.
Wow.
This was made by Gelato Games.
A tasty name.
Which I know, very, very delicious. They have made this and also an upcoming game called Guns of Fury, which sort of looks like a little bit like Metal Slug and a little Metroidvania-y, which I will say, I'm interested. I've enjoyed a Metal Slug, and I kind of wish that there was like a more modern approach to it, because it is extremely punishing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a fun game, so I'm interested in what they got going on there. I do have a review. I got this review from the outlet called Power Unlimited, which
it's a fun name. Very intense.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I took their review, which was originally in German, ran it through Google Translate a number of times, and spat it back out in English to get an artist's interpretation of this review, which I will read for you, David.
Let's hear it.
This game is difficult, but not difficult. There are several stages, but if you want to collect stones and crystals, you'll be busy. And if you don't, you'll have to start from the beginning of each stage. Rating, Fairy Sword is a game you can forget about in the App Store, but if you have 89 euros for a classic, don't ignore it. And that was unscored. There's no score
unscored.
on that.
I like how they call it Fairy Sword.
Yeah, Fairy Sword. That's not the same thing as a goblin.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not the same thing as a goblin.
Yeah, they're different creatures. Also, just like total sidebar, for anybody who's listening for the first time, this will make no sense, but you'll pick it up eventually. I had a dream the other day.
Oh.
And I don't really remember much of the context other than the fact that like there were villains in my dream, like bad guys, and their organization was called Jeux Video. David.
No way. So is Jeux Video no longer on the pod? We're done with Jeux Video?
I don't know. I don't know what the implication of them being the villains was.
They incepted you, is what you're telling me. They went into your dreams and were trying to steal something.
Either that or that was a Jeux Video review that I was witnessing was like in my dream, they were speaking a review to me.
Wow. They were reviewing your life?
Yeah, up to this point. It's difficult, but it isn't difficult.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Can you tell me what Goblin Sword is, David?
Yeah, Goblin Sword is a platforming action adventure game set in a fantasy world, I guess you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you are a knight of some sort or an adventurer of some sort, and you're going through these different levels, fighting monsters with a sword, jumping through different platforms, and finding hidden treasures and crystals as you go. There are bosses at the end of areas, because the levels are just bite-sized or teeny tiny levels, and you just get through it and you're just trying to find all those hidden areas to get to the next spot. And then once you beat that boss, you go to the next area, and then if you die, you respawn at the beginning of that new area you just unlocked, correct?
Yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, and then along the way, you can get some power-ups for your weapon. You can like throw your sword and it explodes instead of just hitting people and needing to getting close. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a fun, simple little game.
Yeah, that like I was playing it and I'm like, this is fucking video games, man.
That's
like,
my same thought. I was like, this is a video game, man.
Yes.
Capital game.
Yeah, I think because like so many games like this would layer on so much more stuff than is in Goblin Sword. And that's not to say like this game is long. Like it's not a short game by any measure, but like I feel like I was just cruising through it and was having a really phenomenal time. But yeah, it doesn't have the like, you know, it doesn't layer on like really wild mechanics going on in the background. It's not like a really, I guess you could call it a roguelike in the sense that you have to start the level over, but not really, you know, like you just kind of go back to the beginning of the level.
Yeah, it is like a fully functioning, anatomically correct, articulating skeleton that of a video game. It is like the bare bones and the bones all work really well, and maybe it has like a top hat because it looks cool, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just so simple, but it's executed nicely.
Yeah, I was surprised that I was like as interested in it as I was, because I feel like doing the show and like especially doing like .zip and stuff like that too, I feel like I play a lot of the first hour or so of games pretty frequently, and especially like, you know, games that are either in early access or like not really out yet or something. And I don't know, usually that experience leaves me wanting for some of those games of like, you can kind of see the edges, but like, I just kept playing this ding dang game.
Yeah, I think there's something very refreshing in the fact that it shows you all of its cards immediately. You don't have to keep on learning new systems. There's not new strategies you have to think of, new things you have to collect. Just like hop through the level, hit the enemies once, twice, 3 times, collect the chests, get the crystals, move on. That's it.
Yeah. You're right that it's like an anatomically correct video game.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of other stuff in it, right? Like it reminds me sort of like Kirby or something like that, or I think especially Castlevania.
Sure. Yeah. Just
in the way that it kind of plays, but like similar to those games in that like there's only so much stuff in these levels. And so like once you do it, you know, like that's it. Or even like, I guess Donkey Kong Country, where there's like a couple of collectibles in there that will help you the more you unlock. But yeah, that's like once you're done with it, that's it. And then you just keep going. And so, yeah, I feel like there's almost a meditative quality about the game of not super hard. And I think it makes a lot more sense knowing that this was on mobile, because like mobile has to account for like kind of squirrely controls.
Yes.
You know, like it's much harder to play a touchscreen action game than it is with a controller. And so with the controller, I'm cruising, man.
Yeah.
There's so many bad guys who are just like falling to the sword that I have.
Yeah. It's just like, I think the snake just stands there.
Yeah. The first time I was like, what's he going to do?
Nothing.
Or like, when is he going to come after me?
Sits there and hisses at you.
Just hangs out. Yeah. And so like, eventually it does become more challenging. Like there's more enemies and stuff like that. But at no point was I like hurting in this game. You know, like I think I died like 2 or 3 times and immediately like one shot at the level after that. But yeah, it's such a joy to play. I think visually it kind of reminds me of Rogue Legacy in a way, just kind of that like pixel art side scrolly vibe, which is fun. And I think coming out at that time, especially like I think Rogue Legacy came out in like 2011 or something like that. And this is 2014 on iOS. So like it makes sense that would kind of be the thing that they're hammering on. So yeah, I thought this was pretty good.
I did also spend a lot more time playing this game than I thought I would, especially after the first level. I'm just like, okay, this is pretty simple.
It's video games,
the levels are just so small. And you get through them so fast. And it is satisfying at the end when they show you how much treasure you got and if you got all the treasure chests. Yeah. But also at the same time, because they're so short, if you miss a treasure chest, you're just like, that's fine. I'll just find them all in the next level. It's not a problem. It doesn't create that kind of sense of I'm not tapping into the full game by missing something that you get with a lot of these bigger games nowadays, right? I would say especially with like open world games are a big offender of this, of am I really getting the full experience if I don't scour every single corner of this map? And that's just not what this game is asking you to do. It's just jump, hit, go through the level, get whatever loot you get, and then go to the next one. And hey, you know, if you don't do it perfect in this one, the next level is right here and it's just as short and it's going to be just as satisfying. So try it there. It's free.
Yeah.
It's liberating, this game.
Yes. Yeah. It does seem to rely on like the expectations and game design of stuff from like, I would say even the NES era, like not even the SNES, like almost Atari level gameplay stuff, but it looks very good, which I think is like a really novel approach to making a game. I totally understand and enjoy when a game is like trying to push the genre forward in a way of like, what's the new thing we can do, especially in like a market that's like totally saturated, like video games are, where like there's 100 indie games coming out every day. And like a lot of them are pretty good. And so it makes sense why you would want to do something to stand out. But I think like this is still standing out in a weird way. It's just kind of doing it from an angle that I wouldn't expect of like, what if we made a game like the original Gauntlet and made it look just a little better and play really nicely, you know, like that's not what this game is, but it's relying on a similar sort of question of like, what if the original Castlevania was like much easier to control and like wasn't so punishing towards you know?
It's minimalist gaming.
A little bit, yeah. It's like, it's a very simple meal, you know? If there's like one piece of fish on the plate, but is it cooked?
It's a good cooked piece of fish. Just with like, it's seasoned just with like a little lemon, maybe some salt and pepper.
Yes, yeah.
Nothing fancy, but
you taste each ingredient.
Would you, having played UFO 50, is this like the type of game that you would find as one of those games in UFO 50?
Visually, no, but like, yes, definitely.
Sure. Just in like how like, it plays and it being just very enjoyable, simple game.
I was thinking about it while I was playing that, and I was like, it totally could have been in UFO 50, which is like pretty wild. I think it also speaks to like, damn, UFO 50 is a good ass game, because just like what an endeavor to have built all those things. But I feel like it speaks to the quality of both of these games, that UFO 50 is incredible, and also like, damn, this is pretty good. Like for what was just originally a mobile game, like that's neat. It's just like good old fashioned video games, just like Mama used to make them, you know?
That's like your grandpappy played.
Home style video games. When you're here, you're gamer, you know?
You're here, you're gaming. Oh no.
I think we should buy the Olive Garden and change their motto.
Ooh, when you're here, you're gaming?
When you're here, you're a gamer.
Instead of unlimited soup and breadsticks, what do you get?
Unlimited Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Oh, wow. That was a quick and correct answer. Well done. You get Balls energy drink as well.
Yeah. Do they still sell Balls? Is that a thing that exists?
I have no clue.
I think I suspect we've probably asked this question about 100 episodes ago.
Probably.
Yeah. Yep. You can buy them on Amazon.
Are they like collector's balls?
I don't know.
What's the grade of these balls? Is this mint condition? I'm gonna have to stop myself, or you're gonna have to stop me, because I don't know what else is beyond these jokes right now. I only have 1,000 more.
How much caffeine do you think is in a balls?
I'm gonna say 350.
Oh my god!
Am I right?
350? No, I think 350 would kill someone. No, just a modest 100 milligrams is what we're working with in balls.
That's not much.
It's not too bad. I think like the CDC recommends not getting more than 300 a day. You saw the like charged lemonade that Panera made.
I was thinking about that right now.
400 milligrams of caffeine.
People died.
People fucking died. That's crazy. How are you just putting out like... Yeah, we have bread bowls and also you choose 2 sandwiches and crack cocaine if you'd like that on the side.
Yeah, I don't know what executive was like, this is a good idea.
I know exactly the one. He was on one that day and was just like, I got a great idea. We need to put this special juice that I made in stores.
He just leaves the charged lemonade out until it dehydrates and then snorts it. Just has 5 cups just waiting to dehydrate until he can just pump it straight into his veins.
Oh my God. Goblin Sword. Good video
Goblin
game.
Sword was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I also I gotta say the name is just so good. It like tells you exactly what you need to know about the entire video game.
It's just like the rest of the game. Short, sweet, succinct. It is just 100% no frills, no filler. It's just telling you exactly what you need to know.
Yeah. It's like Jason and the Argonauts levels of like swords and sandals kind of fantasy. Like it's not the same genre at all, but just like the simplicity of that movie in the genre feels very similar to the simplicity of this one. Speaking of simplicity, David,
yes,
it's the Manga Minute, David.
Oh, we're here.
It's the minute where I have 1 minute to talk about
the
manga.
New recurring segment.
Got a lot of positive feedback about the Manga Minute, I will say.
It's a fun time.
It's a fun time. Real quick, I've only got a minute. I'm up to date with Dan,
cool.
The manga. Absolutely banging. So good. I did not think that I was going to be a guy who liked romance in my manga.
Ooh,
let me tell you,
you're
David,
a romance manga man.
Love this. Well, Dan like really kind of it tiptoes over to the line.
Oh, does
and
it?
It's like you want to come in?
Okay, it's the gateway romance manga.
I have a feeling that it may be because man, what a joy! I think that the 2 kind of characters that are the romance in question, they like honestly do have chemistry in a way that I don't usually see in a lot of like anime or manga. So I'm thrilled about that. Cool. It also like so reminds me of Metal Gear Solid in the way where like it is so absurd and ridiculous for like 50% of the time and then hits you with just the wildest shit out of nowhere of like, hey, this is all fun and games, but like, are you ready to cry about this character's backstory? Because you're
probably
like right now. That shit absolutely rocks. I love it. It also made me start reading Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, David.
With you, David.
Loving that one. With you, David Benavides. That's I would say more traditional slice of life, like kind of romance manga, and I am enjoying it a lot. I don't have a lot to say about it yet, but I'm loving it. Also, this is probably over a minute. Oh well, I'm about halfway through Vinland Saga right now. Good as hell. Saga. Yeah, I'm having a great time. I thought it was just going to be like
they really fool you with that. I haven't read the manga, but the first season is just like it's a bait and switch, and then it's like all that was just character building, motherfucker. Yeah,
yes, so that's exactly what's going on in the manga too. And yeah, you think it's going to be like a shonen manga, right? Of
the
like
first bit
here's
is
Thor. Yes, yeah, the first little bit, and like Thorfinn is this like badass little kid who's gonna beat total ass, and like he does, but that's like so not the point of the whole deal. It's like I thought it was gonna be shonen, but it's actually like, hey, what if Goku usually lost to the main antagonist of the season, and also it's like a political intrigue story.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like after watching the second season, I don't know what that correlates to in the manga. It's a pretty profound rebuke of shonen in general, I would think.
Yes, yeah.
Which I think is good. It is good to have that out there because shonen sometimes borders on, I don't know, a little bit. There's some fascism in shonen, like undertones of might equals right sort of deal. But no, Vinland Saga is great.
Yeah, I if I remember correctly, I think the second season maps onto where I'm thinking about, and there's like quite a turn.
Oh yeah,
from the first season to the second, and I was like kind of shocked in the manga when it happened because I was like, "Yo, this is a much different story than I thought it was going to be."
You're just like chilling in the fields in the second part. You're like, what is going on here? Why is it farming?
Why is it farming all of a sudden? Yeah, that's been the manga 2 minutes. Anyway, goodbye.
Can I just get in here real quick?
This is David's manga. Yeah.
I finished Demon Slayer manga.
Oh, yeah, sure enough.
It was very good. I really enjoyed the arc of this story. And I think in a year where a lot of big mangas ended, namely Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia, which I also read to completion, this ending was very satisfying in comparison. And also even thinking a little bit about Attack on Titan, although I didn't hate that ending quite as much as other people did. It just felt good. It felt like everyone got a good ending, but nothing ever felt like it was cheap or that it was killing people for the sake of killing people, looking you Gege Akutami, which you just Kaisen. But it was and the people who you wanted to end up together and like see their lives fulfilled in the way you wanted them to did that, which was very nice. So I enjoyed the ending of Demon Slayer. It was good.
That's cool. Yeah, it's one I haven't read yet, but I think I should.
The art's pretty good. It's clean.
That really makes a difference.
Clean.
It really makes a difference. Anyway, the Manga Minute. Hey, we're back in Goblin Sword.
Is it like a surprise segment that just happens within other segments?
That's correct. That's kind of my hope, is that we can just drop it in kind of wherever.
A little manga bomb every now and then.
Yeah.
That's fun.
We throw down a flash grenade and manga comes out of it.
Surprise! It's manga.
You ready to feel?
I'm ready to feel.
Anyway, yeah, Goblin Sword was a real joy. I appreciate the sort of simplicity of it. It's like I said, sort of meditative, sort of zen in a way. It feels like what doing like sand raking does, where you're just like kind of going through the motions, and it's like, this is nice. I'm enjoying this, and it like makes me think about video games and being a person.
Yeah, it's interesting. It activates a flow state, I would say, pretty quickly,
which is surprising. Again, given the genre that it occupies, like Castlevania does not activate flow state. That game is hard as fuck.
Activates my anxiety state.
Yeah, other than like the ones on like DS and GBA and shit like that. But like the early ones, they're so hard. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Good one. Yeah, Benny Blue. Thank you for your suggestion. This was a fun
thank you, Benny.
Hey gamers, it's me, Chase, and I'm here to guide you through the outro. I'm going to list a bunch of people to thank. 1, Scott Wilkinson. Thank you for your work on our podcast art. It's great. Thank you, listener, for listening. Also, thank you for potentially reviewing the show if you have the time. You can do that on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever your podcasts go. And also, thank you if you show it to a friend. That's also very much appreciated if you do that. Helps the show grow. If you want to check us out online, we are at podtimism.com. We're also on Blue Sky. I added that recently just because Blue Sky seems to be getting a little more traction. So I'll probably post like at least what episodes we'll be doing in the future there. So yeah, that's out there. Oh, we are also part of the TWG network, the worst garbage. And yeah, we love to be here. So thank you for having us. You can check out more podcasts on the network in the Discord, which you can also find a link to on our website. So where you can check out such shows as Can't Let It Go, .zip, Frog of the Week, Girl Mode, Into the Aether, Paws and Claws. And we also got some video series over there too, and some blogs and stuff. So go check it out. There's other good ones. So yeah, that's it. I've managed to not lose power, which I'm really relieved about.
This bomb cyclone ain't got shit.
Yeah, this is a little poof cyclone. Just a little guy.
More like a big old dumb cyclone.
Dumb cyclone. You got nothing. You a little spinner. You got nothing.
Yeah. This is a cyclone.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Got him.
I hope this didn't actually fuck other places up and we're just not getting the brunt of it.
I mean, I think it's going to be Northern California from what I saw.
Yeah.
Like true Northern California.
David, do you have any gaming wisdom for me?
Yeah, dude. Fight for your right to live and be who you want to be.
True. Yeah.
Use the power of kings and turn your fears and anxieties into strength in these trying times.
What is a true warrior? You know?
Yeah, that's it.
A true warrior doesn't need a sword, David.
Ooh, just a keyboard.
Just a keyboard.
The woke mob's coming for you. The keyboard warriors are here.
Oh, God.
Sorry, that felt bad to say.
I wish the woke mob would come for someone.
Where is the woke mob?
I know.
The woke mob, if woke mob's not showing up January 6th to the Capitol this year, that's for sure.
Yeah, like where is the actual canceling? I don't see a lot of true canceling. Yeah. I see a lot of people getting yelled at, but not a lot of like canceling.
Cancel culture has been canceled. Big Donnie said so.
Maybe we should start the woke mob. I don't know. Maybe we can do something cool, like do better in the world. You know, that'd be cool.
Come together and talk about our grievances in a productive way.
Yeah, that seems like build community that is like serves a purpose and fosters responsibility and like being, you know, a true person in the world
instead of a fake person.
Yeah,
you know who you are.
Yeah, there's somebody out there who's like, what? They know.
They take their human face on. It's just an insect underneath.
Damn it! How do they know?
We always know. We're true people.
We see you, Click Clark.
Click Clark.
We know you're not from
Clark Kent, but insect version.
Yeah, the insect guy.
Click Clark.
All right, we'll see you next week, Click Clark.
See ya.
Bye.
TWG, the worst garbage, online.